Hey storyteller, is correct grammar really all that important in storytelling? I mean, if a writer whose job is to paint pictures with words doesn't notice a grammar error, readers certainly won't, right? Well, yes and no. They may not know why, but they'll get tripped up and perhaps lose the entire thread of the story. Will you take a moment to play a game with me? Think of this like one of those what's wrong with that picture type games, except this one will be what's wrong with this sentence or what's wrong with this story. Here's your first example. Pulling into the driveway, a bird slammed into her windshield. What's wrong with this sentence? Well, was the bird pulling into the driveway and then it slammed into the windshield? I mean, I don't know. Birds driving? How about this one? Come on, I'm starved. Let's eat Grandpa. Well, if you're writing about a society of cannibals, or if your main characters are trapped on a mountaintop with no food and no way to get back to civilization, this might work. Otherwise, you're just going to creep readers out with a pretty disturbing statement that doesn't fit the genre they were expecting. Technically, this one's a punctuation issue more than a grammar issue, but, well, you get the picture, right? So is grammar important? Welcome to this week's writer coaching session, where I'll share the 7 most common grammar mistakes writers make so you can avoid creeping out your readers, unless that is, you meant to. Hi, I'm Bridget from B Squared Writer Coaching. I'm an author, editor, and your story coach, here to help you make your story powerful, polished, and publishable so you can move readers and help them experience your character's journey with maximum emotional impact. First, I have a gift for you just for visiting my channel. My ultimate guide to dialogue punctuation. The one element of storytelling that causes writers the most issues in terms of grammar and punctuation is dialogue. You work hard to create a unique voice for each character and to craft witty or profound conversations between them. So don't let dialogue errors derail your reader's concentration on what the characters are saying or are leaving unsaid. Just click the link in the description or visit b2writercoaching.com/dialogue to download your copy. That's the letter B, the number 2, writercoaching.com/dialogue. And be sure to stay until the end of the video so you won't miss this week's Power Up, a super practical action step you can use right now in the story you're working on. Since we're covering quite a lot today, I encourage you to take notes. So now is a great time to pause this video and grab some paper or open your favorite note-taking app. I'll be giving you a brief overview of each of the mistakes I'm covering today, since there really isn't time in one video to go into more depth on all 7. However, if there is a particular grammar issue you'd like more information on or to see more examples, let me know in the comments and I can do that in a future video. Many writers struggle with getting plural and possessive nouns confused. To apostrophe or not to apostrophe? That is the question. One little apostrophe can change the meaning of an entire sentence, and in some cases, whole paragraphs. As an editor and writing coach, I encounter many grammar errors in stories, but one of the most common is the misuse of the apostrophe in forming plural and possessive nouns. There are many rules that govern the formation of plural and possessive nouns, but the basic thing to keep in mind is we use an apostrophe when we want to show possession. So for nouns that show ownership, not for plural ones. For example, you would use an apostrophe in our family's cabin because the cabin belongs to our family. So you would do family apostrophe S. However, if you'd like to say our families met for dinner, then we're talking about more than one family. So we would need to alter the spelling a bit, not use an apostrophe, but it's F-A-M-I-L-I-E-S. So we change the Y to I-E and add an S without an apostrophe. Again, there's a lot more to this, but let me know in the comments if you'd like a whole video on plurals and possessives. Conflict is a fantastic thing to include in our stories, but not when it's between the nouns and verbs in our sentences. We need to make sure subjects and verbs agree in whether they're singular or plural. If the subject, who or what the sentence is about, is singular, the verb needs to be singular as well. The same goes if the subject is plural, the verb or the action of the sentence must take on a plural form. How can a verb be plural? Well, let's look at an example. A group of boys were playing basketball in the driveway. This is a really common mistake because we think we need to use were since we have a group of boys. Subject-verb disagreement often happens when we have a prepositional phrase that contains a noun that is plural, but really the subject of the sentence is the group, not the boys, but the group of boys, and group is singular. So we would use was. A group of boys was playing basketball in the driveway. We miss this because was sounds weird. It sounds odd to have the verb was next to boys. Instead, a revision I would probably suggest would be just to say several boys were playing basketball in the driveway, or 4 boys were playing basketball in the driveway. The next 2 mistakes I'd like to cover involve pronouns. Pronouns are words that take the place of nouns, and we use them often to avoid repeating characters' names or repeating the names of objects. So, for example, instead of needing to say, Sheila picked up the box and placed the box on the table next to Sheila's water, you would say, Sheila picked up the box and set it, representing the box, on the table next to her water, her representing Sheila's. So you don't have to repeat her name or repeat the box in the same sentence or close together in the same paragraph. Pronouns are super handy, but they can cause some serious confusion for writers grammatically. So let's look at 2 of the most common mistakes writers make involving pronouns. Pronouns can cause confusion for readers and authors alike. And the most common issue writers face with pronoun confusion is mixing up when to use the pronoun I or the pronoun me. Personal pronouns like I, me, my, he, she, they can take 3 forms depending on which role they are filling in the sentence. They can be possessive, which would be like mine or hers. They can be subjective when we use I or she or he, or they can be objective when we would use me, him, her, etc. These forms a pronoun can take are called the pronoun's case. Subjective case is used when the pronoun stands in for the noun that the sentence is about. A subjective pronoun is going to be the doer of the action in the sentence. When we need a subjective pronoun, we would use I, she, he, we. For example, I sang a ballad. You wouldn't say me sang a ballad. That really sounds odd, doesn't it? Objective case refers to pronouns that are the receiver of the action. In this case, we would use pronouns like me, him, her, or us. For example, Jared sang to me. We wouldn't say Jared sang to I. Anytime a pronoun is the object of a preposition, like in this example, to me, the preposition to, and then me is the object of that, we would use an objective pronoun. We would also use the objective case in a sentence like Jared gave me a gift. Me in this case is what we'd call an indirect object. It really is the object of a preposition that is understood but not stated. So Jared gave me a gift is the same as saying Jared gave a gift to me. We're just not using the preposition there. We're flipping the order. So you wouldn't say Jared gave I a gift. Problems often arise when we're ending a sentence with a pronoun, such as Anna likes salad more than him. Well, is she really saying she likes salad more than she likes him? Or is she saying she likes salad more than he likes salad? I think it's the second one. So you would say Anna likes salad more than he. And if that sounds weird to you, maybe Anna likes salad more than he does. And just add the word does there. In this example, the pronoun needs to be in the subjective case because in our sentence, Anna likes salad, then we have a supporting clause. How much does she like salad? More than what? More than he likes salad, or more than he does. The pronoun he is the subject of the verb does or the verb likes, like for likes salad. Where the I and me confusion usually comes in is when we pair a pronoun with either another pronoun or another noun, and we're talking about a combination or a group of things instead of just one. For example, do you want to come with Ben and I? Well, in this example, Ben and I are both objects of the preposition with. So we would need the pronoun to be in the objective case. I is subjective case, remember? So the correct way to word this sentence would be, do you want to come with Ben and me? Because me is an objective pronoun. To test whether we're using the correct case for our pronoun, what we can do is mentally eliminate the other noun or pronoun that's grouped with it in our sentence. For example, we would eliminate been from this sentence. Do you want to come with I? That doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Now, if we try, do you want to come with me? That works. So this is a really good test that you can perform on your sentences when you have a personal pronoun, especially I or me, grouped with another noun or pronoun, just to check and make sure you're using the correct one. Pronoun confusion can also occur when a reader can't tell which person, place, or thing your pronoun is supposed to represent. This person, place, or thing is what we call the pronoun's antecedent. The pronoun and its antecedent should be placed very close to each other in the paragraph so the reader can tell which noun the pronoun is supposed to represent. Readers will naturally assume that whichever noun is closest to your pronoun is going to be the one that is the antecedent. Let's look at an example that causes confusion for readers. Maya gave Judy her money. Well, did Maya give Judy Maya's money, or did she give Judy back Judy's money, as if Judy had given her some money and now Maya's giving it back to her? We really don't know. It seems like her represents Judy because it is closer to Judy than it is to Maya. To revise this, if we are saying that Maya is giving Judy back money that she borrowed or handed Maya for some reason, we could say Maya returned Judy's money. Or if Maya is giving Judy money as a gift or a loan, or maybe Judy's going to buy something like some snacks and Maya's giving her money for her part, we could say Maya gave Judy some money, or Maya gave Judy $20 or whatever it is. Just avoid using her in this case because it's too ambiguous. And just as a reminder, if you'd like more information on how to use pronouns correctly and all the grammar rules associated with them, let me know. There are lots more than just pronouns and antecedents and pronoun case that writers can make mistakes in. So let me know in the comments if you'd like an entire video on how to use pronouns correctly. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of the grammar videos I make in the future. Also, if you're finding this helpful, consider hitting the like button. That will help YouTube know that this is a good video to show to other writers. The remaining 3 mistakes I want to cover today involve the use of ing verbs. These verbs are also called present participles. The addition of the ing suffix onto a verb makes that verb present and continuous. So that means that the action of the verb is happening now and continuing to happen at least for a moment during the sentence. One of the most common pitfalls writers encounter when using an ing verb is creating false simultaneity. When we use an ing verb, we are implying that the action of that verb is taking place at the same time as the rest of the action in the sentence. Thus, it is simultaneous with the rest of the sentence. Here's an example of an incorrect use of an ing verb that creates false simultaneity. Putting on her sneakers, she ran out the door. Well, it would be really difficult or actually impossible to put on your sneakers while you're running out the door at the same time. A correction could be, she put on her sneakers, then ran out the door. To identify and correct this issue, make sure the action you want to show when using an ing verb really can happen at the same time as the rest of the action in the sentence. Then, if it can't, you may need to change the verb form or rearrange part of the sentence and place the actions in the order in which they occur and use and or then to connect them instead. We can use ing verbs, also called present participles, and the other words and phrases attached to them, called participle phrases, to modify or further describe other parts of the sentence. If the present participle, ing verb, or participle phrase is in the wrong spot in the sentence, we can risk having it modify or describe the wrong noun or pronoun. We call this a misplaced modifier. Here's an example. Keeping his eyes on the ball, Maya watched as Tevin swung the golf club with precision. The use of the pronoun his shows us that the participle phrase, keeping his eyes on the ball, is supposed to refer to Tevin, because Tevin, the boy in the sentence, is the one who's swinging the golf club. He's also the one who's keeping his eye on the ball as he does so. However, the arrangement of this sentence makes it seem that Maya is keeping his eye on the ball, and Maya is a girl, so his wouldn't work there. This seems to be the case because Maya is the closest noun to the participle phrase, keeping his eye on the ball. A possible revision could be, keeping his eyes on the ball, Kevin swung his golf club with precision while Maya watched. I would further revise this to just cut while Maya watched, especially if she's the viewpoint character for the scene, because watched in this case can be considered a filter word. For more on filter words, check out this video linked above, and I'll also link it in the description. Sometimes writers leave out the person, place, or thing a participle phrase or present participle is supposed to be modifying. We call this a dangling modifier. Here's an example. Pulling into her driveway, a bird slammed into her windshield. Remember this from our game earlier? The problem is, who or what is pulling into the driveway? Pulling is our present participle, and pulling into her driveway is the participle phrase. But the way this is written, it almost sounds like the bird is pulling into the driveway, when actually the pronoun that pulling into the driveway is supposed to represent, she, is left out. Or we could use the character's name instead. Let's say Amy. For example, if Amy is the one driving, then we would need to have her name inserted here next to the participle phrase so that the reader will know who is actually pulling into the driveway, that it isn't a bird. We call this a dangling modifier because really Amy or she is left out entirely. And so the noun or pronoun this modifier is supposed to be describing isn't even there. So it's just sort of dangling with nothing to hold on to. A possible revision could be, when she pulled into the driveway, a bird slammed into her windshield. Or maybe the moment she pulled into her driveway, a bird slammed into her windshield. And of course, we could use her name instead of she. The moment Amy pulled into her driveway, a bird slammed into her windshield. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download your Ultimate Guide to Dialogue Punctuation. Again, just click the link in the description or visit b2writercoaching.com/dialogue. You can use the notes you took while watching this video to help with this week's Power Up. Examine a scene you've finished and look for any of the grammar mistakes we've talked about today. Highlight any instances of those mistakes you might find, then use your notes or rewatch this video for tips on how to correct them. If the examples I gave today don't quite fit the situation in your story, or the tips don't quite cover what you're seeing as a mistake in your story, again, just leave a comment and you can ask me a specific question about a certain line in your story if you'd like, or request a video on that topic and I'll be happy to make one for you. Most writers do realize that poor grammar can sabotage their publishing efforts, especially if you're submitting to traditional publishers. One other sort of technical issue that can also derail our publishing journey is failing to use the publishing industry's standard manuscript format. Be sure to check back next week where I'll explain what that includes and demonstrate how to set your manuscript up for success with standard manuscript format, as well as how to avoid common formatting mistakes. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss it. Though dialogue, grammar, and punctuation issues are the most common grammar issues writers face, I didn't include them today because I have an entire video dedicated to that. You can watch it here, and I'll also link it in the description. Another sentence-level issue that can take readers out of your story is passive voice. Check out this video to find out if it's sabotaging your story and how to avoid it. And let's power up your storytelling.